Hi everyone, just wanted to make a short video for you guys reviewing some of the things that we've done on the course thus far. So this is your SSC, Mindfulness and Resilience in a nutshell, just quickly reviewing some of the topics that we've covered over the sessions in the last few weeks. So I'm going to go to share the screen so you can get the slides here. And so we started off with an introduction of mindfulness, really inviting you to hold in your mind this understanding that mindfulness is a type of an awareness that arises when certain conditions are met. So this is when we're paying attention on purpose, moment by moment and without judgment. So this is a definition of Jon Kabat-Zinn. And he was one of the founders of the mindfulness-based stress reduction program, and also somebody that helped us really bring in an understanding of the body to really broaden, excuse me, our awareness of what it is that's going on. So it's not just the thinking part and the cognitive aspects, but it's this holistic whole body sense of understanding ourselves. And we did some of this through an exploration of anxiety and stress in the body and this mixture of feelings and thoughts and behaviors that kind of culminate in our perception of stressed or distressed or upset. And really been encouraging you as we go along to find your own stress signature. So you might have a selection of these, you might have all, you might have none, but really beginning to learn where do I feel this stuff first so that you can catch it earlier and you can be more proactive. We taught the technique of diaphragmatic breathing. So a key technique. This is different than mindfulness of the breath, but actually allows you to take control of your breathing. And that may help you to soothe yourself and to activate the kind of soothing system that can just bring anxiety down a notch or two. That sense of really feeling the tummy moving. And we practiced the crocodile on the floor as well for those that were struggling. So keep noticing, am I chest breathing? Am I belly breathing? And know that you have this diaphragmatic breathing tool there to help you. We looked at some of the drivers, are we a people pleaser? Are we, perfect and strong? Or what are the things that drive us? And really recognizing that there are lots of positive things about these drivers, but sometimes they may come and bite us a little bit. So, really to be alert to that, when you see that you're kind of doing things or getting in a stress or kind of moving forward in ways that are not helpful, just check if it's one of these drivers that might be driving you. And we were saying that stress is not a bad thing. Actually, it can be very healthy, but there's a sort of optimum level of stress that allows us to be creative and motivated and active. But if we kind of keep going too far on that curve, then actually we end up getting a bit stressy, panicky, and eventually burning out. And I think that's going to be really important for you guys to notice this and be able to take care of yourselves when you see that you're pushing yourselves over into the exhaustion funnel. And there are these knock-on effects in the body, within the hormonal systems, when we are stressed. And, one of them is cortisol. Cortisol that we know is quite damaging to the brain. It impairs memory encoding and therefore affects memory performance. Also impacts on the immune system and wound healing. So there are really good biological reasons for managing stress and not letting it get out of control. Even though we can go for very long periods being highly stressed, we can push through. Many of you do, probably all the time. But there is this knock-on effect that we need to be mindful of. And, actually in some situations it's appropriate to be stressed. So this is not about never being stressed or being numb or being, kind of dull with your experience. Sometimes it's appropriate to be stressed and we need to act, but not all the time. And one way we can help ourselves is by being really clear about what nurtures us and what drains us. So we invited you to think about this. What are the activities that you do that kind of fill the tank, and what are the ones that drain the tank, and what's the ratio? And recognizing that there may be whole big bits of the day where you're getting drained, but are there some little micro points where you can insert something nurturing, or is there an attitude that you can tune into in the mind about, I'm not eating this sandwich just because I have to keep going for another 10 hours. I'm actually going to take 10 mindful minutes, eat with intention, eat with mindfulness, eat with this awareness. I want to nurture myself. I want to give myself energy. I'm doing this so that I can be at my best for others. And having the intention very clear in the mind can often change a lot of the experience and certainly gives it more power. We shared with you the results from the Foresight Project, the New Economics Foundation, about 5 ways that you can improve well-being. So if you need ideas, go and check this out. But connecting to others, being active, giving, taking notice, and keep on learning are all some key techniques. We also did the gratitude exercise and random acts of kindness. These things can also really help us to lift our mood. We talked about the growing pains of developing awareness, you know, that sense that when we're meeting parts of ourselves that we didn't know about, or that we had a sense was there, but we weren't quite sure. This can be painful. And, you know, there's a variety of ways of doing this, and therapy and coaching and meditation and all of those things are there. But the idea is that we expand our awareness of who we are, and we become more willing to share with others, particularly our vulnerabilities. Many of you started to do that in the group, particularly in the last session. So, you know, well done. And then we were talking a bit more about this mind-wandering model and what it means to be present, but particularly in the context of work and meetings and emails and tech. And this sense that, you know, very quickly we get pulled off course because we're not focusing on what we're doing, and the technology is calling us, or maybe the mind is in a state that's pulling our attention. And how moving around this loop is really the mindfulness training, you know, trying to focus, noticing when you're lost, becoming aware, and getting back. And we can use many objects to focus. You don't have to use breath. You can use movement. You can use the body. You can use sounds. But the point is, you set the intention, you choose to attend, and then when you get off course, you very promptly and firmly bring the mind back. If you can do this in a gentle way, this will speed your learning, but aware that there may be some judging about not being able to do mindfulness. Of course, that comes. But just keep trying, try your best, keep moving around this loop, know where you are in this 4-stage model. And then you'll be giving those 3 key networks a real workout: default mode, salience, and attention. And we looked at the role of emotions in this. So what often hijacks us is emotional states. And we looked at emotions in the body, and this suggestion that we want to decouple what we're feeling with how we're reacting, in order that, you know, well, we still be feeling, but we can minimize some of the reactivity. So we talked about late and stressed versus just late. Yeah. Grief plus rumination versus I'm just sad. Hopelessness plus endless thinking, ruminating, what if, planning, or just staying with, wow, I don't really feel I can do anything in this situation. And that feels very difficult. We looked at the link between emotions and thoughts and behavior. And some of you may notice the thoughts first, others may notice the feeling first, others may see the behaviors first. But they're usually linked. So this was an invitation, you know, if you want to change behaviors, you know, try and get a sense of how these things are chunked together: thoughts, behavior, and emotions. You know, feel something, think something, do something. You know, feel sad, want to get away from it, distract, watch TV, watch Netflix. You know, feel hopeless, get upset, irritated, angry, distract with drugs or alcohol. You know, these are very, very common patterns, but getting to know them is the name of the game. And we suggested this ABC exercise that some of you may still be doing. And at the heart of this really is this understanding that self-awareness and self-management really lie at the foundation of emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is known to be so important, particularly for leaders, particularly for those working in high-stress environments, those managing others. You know, getting a handle on your own stuff is really going to make a difference in your relationships to others. So first, learning to relate to ourselves, and then using this information to allow us to relate more skillfully to others, whether that's colleagues, clients, patients, you know, senior people, consultants, people further up the chain, your manager. Your own self-knowledge will be an important part of really developing courageous relationships, good relationships, relationships that can weather storms, that can weather disagreements, and, you know, always that coming back into repair. Here's just that slide again of the emotions, because these are often the drivers of our habits. So this process of self-knowledge really does include getting to know emotions in the body. And, you know, we miss a lot of this important embodied information when we're multitasking, when we're doing too many things at once, when we're not really attending to the body because our head is in the screen. You know, when we're doing these multiple things at once, you know, the information input is being compromised. And often the emotions are easy to shut out and push down because we're busy and we're agitated and we're stimulated. So of course, emotions take second place. We looked at multitasking and particularly around technology and gave some tips how to begin to notice when the attention is fractionated and really what are the moments where you might want to really make sure that part of your attention is on your body so that you can be really feeling what's going on in the room. You can be really feeling what's happening in the dynamic. This takes time to emerge, but practice absolutely can help, and single tasking is an important part of that. So, you know, these are just some suggestions, and many people recommended apps such as Cold Turkey and Moments as ways to begin to look at some of your tech use and see what's going on with that. So in the latter part, we started to look at the three systems, the blue, the green, and the red. And the invitation here to begin to notice what's the ratio of time that you spend in the threat zone, the red, this kind of hyper-aroused, fearful, kind of am I safe mode, how much is in the driven mode, kind of going for it, doing stuff, getting stuff done, task-driven, and how much is in this compassionate mode, the green mode, contented, safe, and connected. And really an invitation to say, you know, the reality is of the work that you do that there's a lot of red and the people that you're dealing with are in the red. But actually great work, great connecting, great thinking, great inspirations, even about how to help somebody in a medical setting come from being in the green zone. Yeah, our best thinking comes out of this green zone. Maybe even when we're feeling a bit playful, a bit lighter, a bit more creative, even then the blue, the work that's done is easier and lighter and less draining. So paying attention to where am I in this system at any one time and just checking, a bit like the nurturing and depleting exercise. When am I filling the tank? When am I in green? How can I increase being in the green in order to make all the blue that I do that much gentler and more fun and you know, better for everybody involved. Yeah, so upping the oxytocin and minimizing the cortisol is the name of the game. But yes, of course, we've still got stuff to do and we need to get on with it, but let's do it in a more gentle way. And then finally, we talked about empathy and compassion and really the distinction between the two. And the suggestion that, you know, for some people, empathy may come quite naturally, but if we're not able to deal with the emotional overwhelm that can be associated with really feeling what others feel, then compassion practices might be a bit better for us. But for you to try these out, you know, compassion practices is that sense of really wishing ourselves and others well, but not always needing to get very pulled into being responsible for that, either emotionally or physically. And we looked at a variety of exercises to cultivate compassion, including the gratitude, appreciation, the forgiveness letter, actually often provoking some compassion for ourselves, the loving kindness meditation. And some of you may have visualizations that you use as well to help you bring to mind, you know, somebody who in your experience is the embodiment of compassion and gentleness and kindness. And how can you hold that person in mind? It's often a parent, or it could be a pet, a relative, a sibling, somebody dear to us. And when we think of them, we get a warm feeling in our heart. We smile. We know when we think of that person, we get that sense of being held and safe and supported and allowed to make mistakes, allowed to get it wrong, allowed to grow. So, you know, thinking of that person, holding them in mind, particularly when we face challenges. So that's the quick review of all the things that we've covered. So I'll share this video with you, and I wish you really good luck and strength and courage to keep these in your toolbox as you go along your training. And it's been a pleasure for Derek and I to work with you guys, and wish you well and stay in touch. Okay, take care.